It was an absolutely beautiful day in San Francisco today, and now nighttime, which means game time. Game 2, Padres and Giants coming up. Justin Upton and the Padres going back to work against the San Francisco Giants. Good stuff so far this year against the National League West rivals and the defending champions. Justin Maxwell not originally in tonight's starting lineup, but he is now. No Angel Pagan for San Francisco. He's got that boo-boo on his left middle finger. Welcome to AT Park in San Francisco. Tonight, Game 2 of a 3-game series between the San Diego Padres and the San Francisco Giants. With Mark Grant, I'm Jesse Agler. Hey, let's get ready for this one by talking about tonight's starting pitcher for the Padres. First of all, Andrew Cashner. He had a great start to his last start.
He did, and Craig Kimbrell is the closer, right? The stopper.
Yes.
The Padres need a stopper in the rotation after the shutout last night. Madison Bumgarner was magnificent. Padres could not square him up. So Andrew Cashner is trying to be that stopper tonight. And I tell you what, Jesse, if he pitches like he did last time out against the Astros, he should have no problem tonight with a little bit of offense. 6 straight strikeouts to start the game. Why? He had the slider. He was starting with strike 1. He was expanding the strike zone. And just when he was throwing the slider for strikes, he would pinpoint with great control the 4-seam fastball. 96, 97, in, out, up, and down. These Houston Astro hitters were baffled. Hopefully you see the same tonight with the hitters for the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, he finished with 10 strikeouts on the night. Meanwhile, Ryan Vogelsong will go for San Francisco. Been a little bit of a struggle for him this year.
A little bit soggy recently for Ryan Vogelsong. 37 years old. This is a big start for him because this might be his last, depending on what happens. The numbers are just not good. This season in 5 games, 3 of them starts. Look at this. Winless. ERA over 9, opponents hitting .333, and you see what the Padres did to him against this outing. Every mistake they crushed. A lot of base runners for Vogelsong. 19 in the 3rd innings pitched, 40 base runners. That's working a lot on the stretch.
That is a lot of base runners, certainly. All right, we're getting closer and closer to first pitch here in San Francisco. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the miscues, the errors, and the mistakes made by the San Francisco Giants last night. The Padres unable to take advantage. Will they strike tonight against Ryan Vogelsong and the Giants?
Is this real life? Welcome back to San Francisco, Game 2 between the Padres and the Giants. Derek Norris back in the starting lineup, making his 24th start today. And during those games, well, he's earned a few bumps and bruises, some foul tips off the face mask, off the forearm, off the ankles. So it got us wondering, asked his teammates, would they want to be behind the plate?
Well, I used to catch up to the 10th grade, but it gets a little tough back there. Those guys take a beating throughout the whole season. It's probably not something I would want to do and be a part of every day.
Never in this lifetime. No, he's one of a kind, and he's definitely one of the tougher guys I've ever played with. So lucky in that aspect to play with him, but definitely wouldn't want to be him.
I tell him that every day. I think in spring training we had about 4 contusions while I've been pitching, and I think it's about 11 since I've been pitching in the season so far. So that's one job I definitely wouldn't want to have. But you respect the guy. I mean, this he plays hard and he wears it every day, so it's great.
It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it, and Derek Norris has been doing it pretty well this season. Coming up, the Padres hoping the bats wake up today in the Bay Area, provide a little run support for Andrew Kashner as he's looking for his 2nd win of the season. We got first pitch coming up from AT&T Park.
Foul, swinging. Strike three call. Got him looking. That's a big strikeout for Castner.
Ready for baseball at AT&T Park in San Francisco. Welcome back with Mark Grant and Chris Budden. I'm Jesse Agler. 54 degrees. A little bit cloudy here at the China Basin, but an absolutely gorgeous day around San Francisco today. Temperature around 60. Sunnier than usual as the Padres look to bounce back after a 2-0 defeat last night to the San Francisco Giants. In Game 2, it'll be Andrew Cashner and Ryan Vogelsong. Calling the balls and strikes will be Rob Drake. Gabe Morales, the first base umpire here tonight. Joe West, the crew chief at second, and Kerwin Danley, the Aztec, is at third base. Padres lineup tonight brought to you by Toyota. That's Corey Spangenberg. He is in the leadoff spot as Will Myers gets a much needed, deserved maybe day off out in center field. So Will Venable will start in center. Middlebrooks back in the lineup at third base, and Amarista at shortstop after we saw Clint Barmas last night.
And the scouting report for 37-year-old right-hander Ryan Vogelsong, brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Boy, see a lot of pitches early from Ryan Vogelsong because make him work. He has not gone deep into ball games and get on base often. This is one guy to where he's going to be working out of the stretch. Mentioned a little bit ago, in 19 and the third innings pitched this year, Jesse, he has allowed 40 base runners. Hopefully the Padres can clog up the baselines tonight.
That's what, almost 2 an inning?
Yes.
Almost 2
base
runners per inning. That is a lot. Defensively, San Francisco will line up like this. They're brought to you by Renovation Realty. There was a late change. Gregor Blanco was originally slated to play right field here tonight, but he moves over to center. Angel Pagan, a scratch. Justin Maxwell back in right field. The rest of it pretty familiar. Matt Duffy, third base tonight. Casey McGee, he's been struggling a little bit at the plate. He's going to get a day, maybe 2 off before Bruce Bochy tries to put him back in the lineup. Ryan Vogelsong and his 9.31 ERA deliver a first pitch. It's fouled back by Corey Spangenberg, and we're underway on a Tuesday night in San Francisco. Spangenberg making his 5th start of the season for Buddy Black. Leading off for the first time this year. Of course, he's got a leadoff experience and track record in the minor leagues. Did it 8 times last year, and he pushes that bunt up the third base line, and a wise choice by Matt Duffy over at third base. Let that one roll foul.
Yeah, that's the right play because Corey Spangenberg, that one on the grass, that deadens up. There's no way they're going to get the speedy leadoff hitter. So a pretty good idea, but he finds himself in the hole 0-2. And Gigantes on the jerseys tonight on the Cinco de Mayo. Hey, Feliz Cinco de Mayo to you, Jesse Agler, and to all watching.
And to you.
Gracias.
De nada. Spangenberg, a .241 average, 24 years old. At the top of the order. Buddy Black said before the game, love to see him get on, make things even more difficult for Ryan Vogelsong when he's on the bases. Brandon Belt, easy flip, and it wasn't so easy last night for San Francisco. They get that one done. Take a look at the keys to the game. Mark, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Boy, so much to talk about last night, but we narrowed it down to this. Capitalize on Giants' mistakes. Last night, 5 mixed cues. 5?
4 errors.
4 errors.
Officially, yes.
Errors. So I wanted to go mistakes rather than just not errors. So if they make some mistakes. And get on for Kemp and Upton. Spangenberg, Solarte to get on for the big boys. Number 3 and number 4 in the lineup. Do some damage.
Another start at first base for Yangervis Solarte. Went 1 for 4 in the game last night. And the one significant because it was one of just 2 hits that the Padres managed on the evening. Madison Bumgarner took the no-hitter into the 7th. Justin Upton broke it up, leading off the inning with a base hit, and then Solarte followed. Andrew Cashner outstanding his last time out, waiting his turn in the bottom of the first.
First 2 hitters offering at the first pitch. Spangenberg, Solarte. First pitch, hacking.
Trying to jump right on this guy.
Yep.
Vogelsong now 37 years old, making his 4th start of the season. 3rd kind of for Jake Peavy, who's out with a back injury. But the highest ERA of any pitcher has thrown at least 18 innings this season as Solarte lines that one into right field for a base hit. Maxwell goes over, but the Padres, who needed to wait until the 7th inning for their first base hit last night, connect with one away here in the top of the first.
Getting Vogelsong into the stretch. That's exactly what the Padres want to do. early and often, and getting on top of that one. Get that top hand. Roll that barrel of the bat. Hit it on the line. You know, Solarte, he likes it down. He likes it up. He squares it up nicely. He's looking good.
Matt Kemp has hit the Giants well over his career. He's certainly hit Vogelsong well. 375 average against the San Francisco starter. 2 for 2 against him back on April 11th when Vogelsong came on in relief of Bumgarner, who didn't last very long in that game at Petco. Busy start for Maxwell in right, makes the catch, 2 away.
All 3 hitters swinging at the first pitch.
Would you think maybe that came up as part of the strategizing?
Sure. First pitch fastball, jump on it. Go Apache on him.
Last 4 at-bats for Kemp, by the way. Fly balls to Maxwell in right. Justin Upton broke up the no-hitter, leading off the 7th. Also reached on one of the 4 San Francisco errors last night. Despite the fact that Bumgarner threw 6 no-hit innings, the Padres certainly had their opportunities against the Giants. Couldn't take advantage. Upton, first pitch swinging, fouls it back.
The Padres going Sugar Hill gang right now. Apache, jump on it. First pitch, all over it, all 4. First pitch hacking.
Madison Bumgarner on the right.
Matt Cain in the middle, talking some pitching there.
0-1 to Upton. He hits it in the air to right field, and Maxwell makes the catch. And the side is retired. No runs, a hit, and a man left. Andrew Kashner coming out.
Y amor apasionado, está todo alborotado por volver, voy camino a la locura y aunque todo me...
Matt Kemp enjoying some of the pregame festivities here at AT&T Park on Cinco de Mayo. Now out in right field. That kid was unbelievable, by the way.
Very
Singing.
good. Very enjoyable to listen to.
A lot of fun here in San Francisco as the Giants come to the plate in a scoreless game, bottom of the first, against Andrew Kashner. Set a franchise record in his last start Wednesday afternoon at Petco against the Astros. He struck out the first 6 men to start the game. The old record for the Padres was 4 as he delivers ball 1 to Nori Aoki, who singled, stole a base, and scored the first run of the night last night for San Francisco. And he swings there, grounds it right to Solarte at first. And so Aoki, who's been a very patient hitter this season, a little bit impatient the last couple of nights against the Padres. Giants lineup brought to you by Hyundai. You just saw the leadoff man Aoki. Panic coming up. Buster Posey batting third. Gregor Blanco, we mentioned, in center field. Justin Maxwell in right. Matt Duffy getting the start at third base in place of Casey McGee. and he will bat 8th in front of the pitcher, Ryan Vogelsong. Nice quick out for Andrew Cashner. He's just a couple of pitches to get Aoki, and Panik takes a fastball called strike on the outside corner, 0-1.
Speaking of Andrew Cashner, the scouting report brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Petco Performance in San Francisco. We know Andrew loves to pitch at home. Strikes early, expand late. I'll tell you what, if he has that slider working and that fastball, yes, the strikeouts will come. But the amazing thing about Andrew is this. In 31, now in the 3rd innings pitched, only 8 walks. He's around the plate. Quality pitches. Here comes the two-seamer right here.
And on 1-1, it's lined into center field. That's Will Venable here tonight, giving Will Myers a break out in center field. The rest of the Padres defense brought to you by San Diego County Ford Dealers. So Will Venable gets the start in center, and he will be bracketed by Justin Upton in left field, Matt Kemp in right. Spangenberg gets the start at second. Middlebrooks back in, and Derek Norris, what do you know? Heard Chris Budden talk about it earlier, back behind the dish, although we do expect Austin Hedges to make his first major league start in the day game tomorrow. An early start here in San Francisco. 2 outs, nobody aboard, and Buster Posey takes a 96-mile-per-hour fastball. Strike 1.
That's the beauty of Andrew Cashner. As you take a look at 26 games for Buster, his numbers always in the middle of it. Cashner can change speeds on that fastball.
A couple of different fastballs, really.
Yeah. So, you know, actually, it's like 4 different pitches. 2-seam, 4-seam, right? But then you could add and subtract to each of them.
Velocity, you mean?
Yeah.
Posey
makes
well.
it fun.
Very. Posey good success against Cashner in his career, but Andrews ahead of him, 0-2. The Giants catcher waits, and he checks his swing. Had a ball down, 1-2. Posey 9 for 17 with a couple of homers against Cashner. It's a .529 batting average. It's a theme night. The 1-2, and Posey late, ground ball. Pretty routine for Spangenberg over at second. He throws him out, and a nice start for Andrew Cashner. 1-2-3 against the Giants here in the bottom of the first. Derek Norris coming up.
And the Padres made a roster move today. Brandon Morrow has been placed on the 15-day disabled list because of some inflammation in his right shoulder. The corresponding move with that is that Frank Garces has been recalled from El Paso. And talking with Morrow before the game, he says it's nothing that he's overly concerned with, just disappointed because he's been pitching so well recently. He's felt the kind of pain in the shoulder the last few starts, and it just hasn't gone away. And when you look at the numbers, he's actually, because of injuries the last 2 years, pitched as many innings this season as he did through all of 2014. So the idea is they want to give him the rest now, let it heal so that he's good throughout the rest of the season. So Odrisamar Despaigne will get the start for him on Thursday, Jesse.
Chris, thanks a lot. Yeah, listening to Buddy Black talk about that before the game, it's kind of made it seem this was like the prudent thing to do with Brandon Morrow. No reason to push it.
Kind of like the Ian Kennedy situation, remember?
Yeah.
Ian said he just kind of felt a little bit of a tweak down there, right? So, you know, rather than pushing it, put him on the DL, get it straight, and go get him.
Yeah, it's a thing for a veteran guy to be aware of and to make the adjustment on as Derek Norris takes a pitch high, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Chris mentioned Despaigne then expected to get the start Thursday in Arizona. Nice little luxury, right, for Buddy Black and Darren Balsley, having that guy sort of spot start. Norris hammers the 1-2 foul.
He is the perfect part of a pitching staff, and I'm sure that every major league team would love to have an Odrisamar Despaigne.
Been outstanding in whatever role they've put him in so far this year, so he'll get another chance to start again on Thursday night in Arizona. Ball and 2 strikes to Derek Norris. Been catching a lot of games, and before the game today, a little bit of a hint being sent around that might get some ground ball action at first base. Nothing to read too far into. Buddy Black saying, hey, maybe down the line could be something there, but don't be surprised if you see some pictures of that on Twitter over the next week or two. That one just missing down 2-2.
You see a lot of catchers throughout the history of Major League Baseball taking some grounders at first base, and the one guy putting down the numbers right now, Buster Posey, right?
Sure. Especially the guys that can contribute offensively in a big way, like these two. Jonathan Lucroy in Milwaukee would be another example. Last year saw Grandal at first base quite a bit. We'll chopper to shortstop. Brandon Crawford makes a good throw. Norris always hustling, making it a close play. And the Giants on a couple of ground balls already tonight. You can see they're very locked in on making those good throws.
You know, they wet down this infield here in San Francisco, and it stays really moist for a long time because of the cool conditions. And when you've got a kind of a slick, watered down infield, it keeps that ball down. No bad hops.
4 errors in last night's game for San Francisco. The Padres just unable to take advantage. And they had their chances. Again, considering it was a no-hitter through 6 innings, the Padres were in it as Will Venable grounds it into the shift. Crawford had him played perfectly, 2 away.
Well, as a pitcher, you make a pitch and you hear that crack of the bat on the sweet spot and you're like, oh no. But then there's number 35 there for the Giants. Kid by the name of Brandon Crawford, and he's good. Even though it was hit hard, it looks like Vogelsong hit his spot, right? Because the defense was right there, and Crawford just has to go a step and a half to his left.
So a quick second out, and after a 9-pitch first inning, just 7 needed to get the first 2 here in the second. Will Middlebrooks looking to get out of it. A little bit of a slump right now as he takes outside ball 1. Hitless in his last 5 games, longest such streak of his young major league career. Takes that one. Off speed from Vogelsong, 1-1. Dropped it right in. Right side. Brandon Belt. And another quick inning for Ryan Vogelsong. We go to the bottom of the second in San Francisco. No score. Cashner and some pinpoint control.
Oh, you just said it right there. Watch the glove of Will Nieves against the Astros. Doesn't even move. You've heard about the cliche thread the needle. Watch again. Andrew Cashner is locked in with the slider, with the fastball. Both pitches alike. Nieves' glove down and away. He can close his eyes and catch that pitch right there. Just one of the tools of Andrew Cashner and what he does so well.
Heads up down there, guys.
Hey, that's Pete Alonso down there. Low first camera guy. It's the quickest he's moved in 30 years.
Gave the souvenir to a fan as Brandon Belt lifts this one in the air, center field. Venable going back, looking up, it's off the wall. Belt cruising into second base, leadoff double for the San Francisco first baseman here in the second.
That's good hitting right there by Brandon Belt from the left side. Traditionally, you see like a left-hander get a pitch like that and try to pull the ball. This ball to left center field. It's a four-seamer. That ball is down about knee-high, and it leaks over the heart of the plate. That's throwing some head right there. And Will Venable, there's no way he's going to get that, so he plays the carom safely.
Fifth double of this season, and Cashner out of the stretch with a man in scoring position, nobody out. And Brandon Crawford taking a big swing and a miss, 0-1. Crawford has struggled against the Padres so far this year. 0 for 16 with 6 strikeouts against San Diego. Nice stop by Derek Norris, 1-1.
This is a situation where Derek Norris will call the changeup. That was a changeup with that runner, Brandon Belt, in scoring position. We know that Crawford's looking for the old number 1. Trying to move that runner over. So the ideal situation here, in a perfect world, a nice 1 or 2 hopper to Will Middlebrooks at third base to keep that runner at second.
Outside, ball 2. Cashner misses his spot at 95 miles per hour. Not a bad view. 2-1. And again in the dirt with the change. 3 balls in his strike. Derek Norris earns his money back there each and every night, that's for sure.
That was a nice report Chris Budden did earlier.
Yeah.
Asking his teammates what they think of the catcher and what it would be like to be a catcher. A lot of the guys want no part of it.
Can't blame them.
You know, the walk here wouldn't be the worst fate for Andrew Cashner. Sure, still nobody out, and it would be first and second if in fact a walk, but a double play in order. Left-hander Gregor Blanco on deck.
Buddy having a look as Cash gets ready to deliver a 3-1 pitch. Crawford takes high outside, ball 4. Read an interesting article today about the way a batting order is constructed and protection in the lineup, and if it changes the approach of pitchers, kind of in a situation like that, knowing who's on deck. Did you ever look at the on deck circle? I mean, was that part of the approach? Yeah.
Oh, no question about it. You do your, back in the day, it wasn't as in depth as it is now. I mean, with all the websites and stuff like that, tendencies. But back in the day, you check the box scores, you talk to people, talk to scouts to see who's swinging a hot bat. You look over on deck, if you got a weaker hit over there, it doesn't matter, righty or lefty, because you can utilize an off-speed pitch to work to your advantage. Absolutely. Pitch around one guy to get to a different type of hitter. He's yet to ground into a double play, but now is a good time for the first one.
First time we've seen Blanco in this series as he takes strike 1. Started all 4 games in the Petco series back in April. A couple of the Giants pitchers were quoted in that article, and Tim Hudson said, yeah, you'd be foolish not to be aware of that situation. Madison Bumgarner says, yeah, I probably should, but I don't. I just kind of go after him. Shows bunt and kicks it back to the on deck circle.
Hey, some pitchers are stubborn, right? Because they believe in their ability. Hey, I'm not going to pitch around a guy to get to another guy. I want to get this guy. Sometimes it comes back and bites you. Sometimes you got to be smart about it.
Had a similar conversation with Houston Street last year and Craig Kimbrell this year. And kind of like Hudson and Bumgarner, just totally different approaches. Houston very almost scientific about the way he'd approach each pitch, each at bat, each guy. Kimbrel's just coming at you. Fouled away again.
With the way he throws, Jesse, you're absolutely right. He's not going to. Because if he's on his game, which is 95% of the time as far as hitting his spots with that fastball and that curveball, yeah, Craig Kimbrel doesn't have to pitch around anybody to get the next guy.
Cashner 10 strikeouts in his last start Wednesday against Houston. First and second, nobody out. The 0-2 to Blanco, and he got it. Went down and chased the changeup. A slider as that one kind of fell down off the table. First strikeout of the night for Andrew Cashner.
Late break, great depth, and perfect location. We talked about location, the tools of the trade. Yes, with 2 strikes, that's exactly where he wants to be.
Closed captioning tonight brought to you by Wiener Schnitzel. So now 1 out, runners on first and second, and the right fielder Maxwell, who's been busy defensively the last couple of nights, gets a turn at the plate. Single, walk, RBI, run scored. Now base hit up the middle. That's what he did last night. They're going to send the runner. Throw comes in. Belt will score as the throw is cut off. And runners on the corners for the Giants, and a 1-0 lead for San Francisco. Justin Maxwell jumped on that first pitch from Andrew Cashner, lined it into center field for a base hit.
Like the Padre hitters against Vogelsong, Justin Maxwell is thinking, you know what? If I get the old number 1, especially a 4-seamer, I can get extended. I'm going to jump on that because I don't want to see the slider. I don't want to get in the hole 0-1 and then have to deal with the Andrew Cashner changeup. I don't want to have to deal with that slider. He takes it right where it came from, up the middle on that first pitch fastball.
Here's Matt Duffy, the third baseman. Tonight, the third baseman. He's played first, second, short. Super utility guy. Duff man takes a fastball strike, 0-1. Gets the start tonight in place of Casey McGee, who had a rough night last night. McGee a strikeout, grounded into a double play in a big spot against Tyson Ross. Did a great job of pitching around some early trouble. Inside, 1-1. Cashner trying to pitch out of a little bit of a jam here in the bottom of the second. 1 run in for the Giants. Foul ball. Oof. Double and a walk to start the inning for San Francisco. Blanco struck out, and then Maxwell an RBI single. One-two to Duffy, and a little weak roll over to third. Middlebrooks gets one at second. The relay to first, not in time. That'll get another run home for San Francisco. As Brandon Crawford crosses the plate, 2-0 Giants here in the second.
Well, Matt Duffy knows what's in front of him, right? As soon as this ball is struck, Middlebrooks is going to go to second. Now the race is on. Good feed right at the chin of Spangenberg, and the speed of Duffy prolongs the inning, scores a run for San Francisco.
Padres did about as much as they could do defensively on that one. Nicely done by both guys as the pitcher Vogelsong steps to the plate.
It was almost that ball wasn't hit hard enough, just softly enough to enable Duffy to get down that line.
First pitch strike to Vogelsong at 96. So Madison Bumgarner have a hit last night. Tim Lincecum was 2 for 2 with a walk on Sunday. It's respectable numbers for Vogelsong in his big league career. Close play over at first base. Duffy back in.
You know, we mentioned the numbers for Vogelsong and struggling with the ERA over 9 in the base runners, but you know what? This 37-year-old, he's had one heck of a career.
An incredible story as he rolls this one back to Cashner. takes his time, makes the play, and the side is retired, though. San Francisco gets a couple of runs on a couple of hits. They lead 2-0. What we feed them matters. And by Sony, the leader of 4K Ultra HD. Look at AT&T Park in McCovey Cove in San Francisco. Giants with an early 2-0 lead on Andrew Cashner and the Padres. Big old ship in the distance.
Tom Hanks is the skipper of that ship. Captain Phillips.
I don't think there's a lot of pirates here, which is probably good.
They're in Pittsburgh.
Alexi Amarista against Ryan Vogelsong as the Padres try and come from behind. Takes a big swing at a first pitch fastball. Comes up empty, 0-1.
No, Vogelsong, Jesse, is not going to light up the radar gun either. He's going to be around 90, 92. He'll cut that fastball.
Been in the zone against the Padres so far tonight. A couple of pretty easy innings. And ahead of Amarista, 0-2. Took him just 9 pitches to get through the first, 10 to get through the second. Amarista does have a home run in his career against Vogelsong, who was an all-star back in 2011. And that was his sort of storybook return to the major leagues. And strike 3 called to Alexi Amarista, 1 away. Time now for the T-Mobile Game Changer. Mark Grant, and you take a look at a guy that has done a really, really nice job in a lot of ways for the Padres. Andrew Cashner.
You know, he comes into today's game hitting 200, right? Talk about the pitchers hits, helping themselves out a little bit offensively.
2 for 10 this year. That's a 200 average.
And I believe his career average is higher than his season average, correct?
204.
That's higher.
They're really working out there. Those little Viking ships. Cashner ahead in the count. They're in sync. Maybe there are pirates. Cash rips that one into left field, and it's going to be caught. Aoki coming on. A hard hit line drive off the bat of Andrew Cashner is the second out here in the top of the third. Nice swing.
If he elevates that ball a little bit, guess what? He's rounding the bases. That ball was smoked. Good leg kick, elevated, get on top of it. What a good looking swing by Andrew.
That was fundamental looking. Good level swing. Nice play by Aoki. Here's Spangenberg taking low. Loves to swing the bat. Spangenberg grounded out to Belt at first base. 2-0. Big swing from Corey Spangenberg. 2 balls in his stride.
That looked like that ball ran up and into Corey Spangenberg.
Vogelsong made his big league debut with the Giants all the way back in 2000.
So he's talking to himself out there on the mound, kind of reminding himself of some things for his delivery or whatever. But it looked like he was talking to himself a little bit there.
A little conversation. Pitchers have been known to do that. You ever do it?
No. Slider, fastball. Fastball in, curveball.
Little topper foul on the 11th pitch of the inning. Still 2-2 to Spangenberg. James Shields lounging. Last time he was in San Francisco was the 2014 World Series. 2-2 to Spangenberg, and now a full count on the Padre leadoff hitter.
See Posey tried to bring that one up. You know, there's framing out in the corners, and then there's trying to bring up the low pitch. Home plate umpire Rob Drake, loved the Drake. Doesn't want any part of that.
3-2, and Spangenberg fouls it off down the left field line. Jan Hervis Solarte would be next. Spangenberg, the 10th overall pick in the 2011 draft, made the opening day roster.
Look at that mistake. Pitch number 7 on the Honda Fox tracks.
He was there.
Right down the middle.
The 3-2 to Spangenberg is hit in the air center field. Looks routine for Blanco. He makes the catch at another 1-2-3 inning for Ryan Vogelsong, who has set down 8 in a row. Against the top of the San Francisco order around the major leagues, Adrian Gonzalez of the Dodgers named the National League Player of the Month for April. We We saw plenty. Thank you. Nelson Cruz, who we'll see coming up, the American League Player of the Month, and he got off to a slow start. Crazy to look at those numbers after the way the season began for him.
And then how about the Colorado Rockies? Talk about messing up your pitching staff and your rotation. Rained out for the 3rd straight, right? Doubleheader.
Hey, that Denver weather, it can be unpredictable really any time of the year. Cashner evens it up, 1-1 on Aoki.
That will mess up your pitching situation. I'm not talking for days, maybe a week plus. That's what it can do.
1 ball and 1 strike to the San Francisco leadoff man. Andrew Cashner has not received a ton of run support this year, or at times last year, as Aoki lifts that one, shallow center, Amarista going back, but Will Venables there. He takes control, makes the catch, 1 away.
Tonight on Fox Sports San Diego, catch a new episode of SD Live. Coming up, Yonder Alonso and Odrisamir Despaigne stop by the studio. Find out how these two are connected, and this story goes beyond being teammates. You want to tune in. SD Live tonight after Padres Live right here on Fox Sports San Diego.
Really incredible story. You get to hear it tonight right from those two guys. He had Cash between the lack of run support at times, the glove work behind him, the defense, some of the struggles there.
Well, you mentioned that run support. Actually, he's getting 3.7 per 9. Now, that's 28th, tied for 28th in the NL, but that's not the upshoot. The upshoot of the story is, he's getting fewer. Morrow, Ross, Bumgarner, Hudson, Heston from the Giants, and Clayton Kershaw. Fewer runs than Andrew Cashner.
A 1 to Joe Panic, and that one's hit out to right. Matt Kemp. 2 away. Defense behind him was also at times been a little bit of a struggle. 8 unearned runs in his 5 starts already. 2 outs, nobody on for Buster Posey. Posey grounded out to Spangenberg, his first time out. Historically really good against Cashner, really good against the Padres, but so far this season 3 for 17 against San Diego. Been a little bit different in 2015.
They're executing the scouting report, the game plan. They do a fine job. Darren Balsley and his pitching staff, they got it covered. Darren Balsley, the pitching coach for the Padres, watches hours upon hours of video.
1-1, and Posey takes 2 balls and a strike.
It's a strike, wasn't it?
It's close.
There's the best pitching coach in all of Major League Baseball, Darren Balsley.
Neat moment last night in between innings, speaking with Tyson Ross, as that one just misses. 3-1. A couple of close pitches there.
Yeah.
But sitting down with Tyson Ross after a tough, 3rd inning.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden Tyson got it going. Great to see last night. Posey swings and misses, 3-2.
It was great because you and I talked to Darren after the game last night. I said what exactly was being said. Because remember, I was using my lip reading skills.
Yeah.
I said more 2-seamers, more fastballs get extended. He goes, you were exactly right, but more 4-seamers, I said. He said no. He said he wanted to throw more 2-seamers.
That one's lined into center field for a base hit. 2-out single from Buster Posey. And the Giants keep it going here in the 3rd with Brandon Belt coming up.
Yeah, Darren said that, believe it or not, Tyson Ross has better control with the 2-seamer than the 4-seamer. And talking about control from a hitter standpoint, look at that back control, and look at that beautiful swing from the right side for Buster Posey. Hitting it exactly where it's pitched. We've seen that many times. But as you said, Padre pitching staff has pitched him very nicely.
Yeah, Tyson last night, he had the tough 3rd inning, got the double play to get out of it. A little bit of trouble in the 4th, and then he really settled in and retired the last 10 men that he faced in the game last night. A little bit outside for ball 1 to Brandon Belt, who doubled and scored the first run of the night. It's had a good couple of days against the Angels and now the Padres. Struck out a couple of times last night. Cash out of the stretch, delivers the 1-0. Little appeal over to 3rd. That's a swing. Kerwin Danley calls it a strike. 1-1.
By the way, they always go, and here's proof. Oh, my goodness gracious. If he hits it, it's a double. And Boch is upset. Oh, come on, Boch. He went.
Outside with a fastball, 2-1.
So you're saying he can keep the bat parallel to the front of home plate and bring it forward as far as he can and still not a go?
No, I think he went.
Okay.
Yeah.
They all go.
I think you get a lot of them wrong, but that one you got right.
Hey, now.
Yeah.
You think I get a lot wrong?
On the check swings? You know you do.
That was the same swing you just took right there on that check swing. And 95% of the time they go. There are some umpires that will call this, no, he didn't go.
When the top hand comes off, that's a pretty good indication he might have gone. Belt waits for the 2-2 from Cashner, and it's high, ball 3.
Tried to overthrow that one just a little bit. 96, wanted to come inside. You know, with the runner on first base, 2 strikes, I think Andrew Cashner has confidence in that off-speed pitch. You know, that's the beauty. He can throw the changeup, the slider, or the fastball right here. That's the beauty of it. I think he's going to keep the ball away. I think he's going to go 2-seam fastball away.
Head start for Posey over at first base, but first Cashner steps off and watches him back. Three to the belt, and it's high outside, ball 4. So after Cashner got the first 2, Aoki and Panik here in the third. A 2-out single from Posey, a walk from Belt. Now runners on first and second with 2 away, and the shortstop Brandon Crawford coming to the plate. Crawford scored the second San Francisco run back in the second.
You know, those last 2 fastballs, it looks like Andrew may have overthrown a little bit. When he's under control, he's really hitting his spots with his fastball.
Change up this time to start him off, and it misses low.
And not a bad idea that he misses with a ball either. And a nice block once again by Derek Norris. Runner on second, a series of signs for the right-hander.
Padres play behind the runners. Crawford takes outside. Fastball missing, 2-0.
Just a little bit off with the release point. Last 3 fastballs have been up out of the zone.
Not that good. It's like Green Bay in the playoffs, the way they're all wrapped up. 2-0, popped left side out of play.
It goes to show you, right? 2-0. Hitters count. Cashner comes with the fastball, and Brandon Crawford still late on it. Now you put a little movement with that pitch, makes it even more difficult. Outfield playing him to go the other way a little bit, swinging towards the left field line.
That one is hit that way, and Justin Upton's not going to be able to get there. Posey is rounding third. The throw comes in over everybody, and both runners will advance. 3-0 Giants, now runners on second and third. Two-out rally from San Francisco. They add on here in the third.
Crawford not trying to do too much. Once again, a ball away. He takes it that way, and then Upton just airmails this one. And you know what? Andrew was splitting home plate and third base like a pitcher should be. You know, and even though nobody's back there, it doesn't matter because the run's not going to score, and he moves up 90 feet. Crawford does on the throw.
So a single and an error on Upton, and now second and third, 2 outs. Brandon Crawford collecting his first hit of the season against the Padres in 16 at-bats. Now 17. Gregor Blanco 0 for 1 with a strikeout. He takes low outside.
That's one of those plays where you have to, even if you one-hop the infield or into the infield, you can't airmail it like that, right? Even if it's a 1 or 2 hopper, you keep that runner at first base.
1 ball, no strikes, and Blanco grounds this one to first, past Solarte into right field. 1 run will score. Here comes the second as Crawford crosses the plate. And the Giants tack on another couple. 5-0 San Francisco. Got on Solarte in a hurry, and he couldn't make the play.
6th time this year that Solarte has started at first base. Let's take a look. I think he had time to get in front of this ball. In fact, you know what? He was flat-footed. He did. He did have time to get in front of it. He stayed his ground. He set himself up for the backhand. And I think he knows that's an error. E3, I think he knows he had plenty of time to get in front of that one to make that play.
So some more bad luck for Andrew Cashner as the runner goes. Norris throw down, and they got him. Nice throw from Derek Norris and a good tag from Corey Spangenberg. But the Giants tack on with a 2-out rally against Andrew Cashner. Looking for baseballs in their kayaks and their boats, and the Padres are down, but they have 3 times this year scored 5 or more runs in a single inning. Ties them with the Washington Nationals for the most in the National League this season, and maybe the big inning is what will get San Diego back in this one. 5-0 San Francisco here in the top of the 4th inning. 3 runs in the bottom of the 3rd for San Francisco, 2 of which were unearned against Andrew Cashner, and it's been a theme this year.
Yeah, 10 of the 22 runs on the season unearned. I clean up the defense. Now it's time to chip away to the 5-0 deficit.
Solarte takes a strike, 1-1. Jan Hervis made one of the 2 Padre errors in the 3rd. Ground ball hit by Gregor Blanco that got past him into right field. 2 runs came in to score. He hits this one on the ground to second base. Joe Panik, 1 away. Well, if you're Ryan Vogelsong, you've got to appreciate this run support, right?
Have to, because now you can be an aggressive pitcher. You can go out there and pound the strike zone early. You don't have to try to nitpick early. I think this is the type of outing that, with the numbers we saw, the 9+ ERA, right? The number of base runners, to where he has wiggle room to make a mistake.
Only the Phillies have averaged fewer runs per game in the National League than San Francisco this year. They're up over their season average already through 3 innings. Here's Matt Kemp, who in 4 straight at-bats has flown out to the right fielder. Angel Pagan out of the lineup tonight. Matt Kemp in that conversation. 33 hits already this season. One and one.
Well, how about D. Gordon? Switching coasts, huh?
Been huge for the Marlins.
Wow.
1-1 to Kemp as the knees buckled, and that's strike 2.
Well, that's one of those in-between breaking balls to where you really can't do much. Why? Because it's on the inside corner, and that's really a tough breaking ball called a strike to keep fair. And let's face it, it was off the plate inside, huh?
Yeah.
The ball. He got the call.
1-2 to Kemp, and he hits that one the other way, but it's caught by Brandon Belt. 2 gone. He went with it.
Yeah, nothing you can do there, Matt Kemp. And you know what? He has to swing at that pitch. With the pitch prior to that being off the plate, you know, it might be the same way on the other side of the plate. So you got to protect. Brandon Belt to his left, taking away extra bases.
Kemp 0 for 2. Here's Justin Upton with 2 outs, nobody aboard. Outside, ball 1. Giants pitching staff has found a groove. Starters were great over the weekend against the Angels. Obviously Bumgarner yesterday, and they've now gone almost 22 innings since they last allowed a run. Upton up the middle for a base hit. 2-out single for the Padre left fielder, and after San Francisco scored 3 times in the bottom of the 3rd with 2 outs, Padres maybe looking to put a 2-out rally of their own together here in the 4th.
Well, they need an extra base hit. They need a couple more base runners. We've seen 2-out thunder this year from the Padres. At the bottom of the lineup tonight, early has been quiet. There's Jake Peavy.
Vogelsong in Peavy's spot in the rotation as the former Padre works his way back from a back injury. Derek Norris 0 for 1, grounded out to shortstop, and he takes ball 1 outside.
Nice numbers for the last 4 games for the Padre catcher. Outfield playing to go the other way a little bit, playing to pull on the infield.
So the flag's blowing in a little bit from right field as well. Check on the runner. Upton back in stand up. Now they're blown out.
Oh, it changes,
yeah.
Right?
Gotta be tough on those guys in the rowboat.
Tough for the outfielders on a high fly ball. You got to keep your feet moving so you can make an adjustment. Oh, look at that jump.
Huge jump for Upton. It's a called strike to Norris. No shot for Buster Posey as Upton steals his 4th base of the season.
There's a track meet out there. Starter's pistol. What are you, like 3-4 step before that first move by Vogelsong?
So a runner in scoring position for Derek Norris, who's driven in 16 runs so far this season. The 1-1 way outside, ball 2.
You know, usually in a situation like that, you'll hear position players whatever say, yell, step off, right? Well, as a pitcher, you know, you don't want to balk, and he just continues on with his delivery, trying to make a good pitch.
Is that part of having a 5-run lead?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Probably.
2-1 to Norris, and he hits it in the air, shallow right field. Panic going back, and with the wind, he makes the catch. And that's it for the Padres here in the 4th. The 2-out single, but nothing else. History brought to you by Geico just about 11 months ago right here at AT&T Park in San Francisco. That was a really, really fun night.
And Odrisamer Despaigne was having fun as well. He makes his Major League debut. Tough park to pitch in, no matter how good or bad the Giants are going. Tosses 7 scoreless innings. And that was fun to watch.
Stand-up paddleboarding out of McCovey Cove as Andrew Cashner delivers ball 1 to Justin Maxwell.
Aww.
Maxwell was at the plate when Gregor Blanco was caught stealing to end the 3rd inning. Had an RBI single his first time up.
Oh, he went. No question. You don't think so?
Are you watching the wrist? Are you watching the bat head? What do you look for?
The wrist has nothing to do with it. It's the bat head. Because you know what my philosophy is?
If he could make contact with the ball.
If
I always hear you say that.
If the ball were to make contact with the bat at the furthest point forward out in front of home plate, that ball would be fair.
Maxwell taking all the way. Strike 1.
Okay, everybody has their little pet peeves about baseball and rules. What's yours? Right? I mean, you get 10 baseball fans in a room talking about this great game. You talk about rules and stuff. Judgment calls. There's probably 1 or 2 that is the pet peeve of each individual. Mine is the check swing.
This one's not a pet peeve, but I've always sort of wondered about it. Is if a pitcher makes an error, shouldn't the run still be earned? It was his mistake.
That's a good point.
That's it well to right field. Kemp coming over making the catch. 1 away.
Join the Padres on Sunday, May 17th, as they honor the men and women of the U.S. Coast Guard. Sector San Diego for U.S. Coast Guard Appreciation Day, presented by USAA. Military and their families receive 50% off tickets to Sunday's game. Get tickets today at Padres.com. And once again, the Padres always doing a great job, the first to do it in all sports, I believe, to say thank you to the military and their families.
They do such a great job with it each and every Sunday home game. First pitch swinging and a base hit for Matt Duffy. Dumps it into left field for a 1-out single. Let's check in with Chris Budden, who's downstairs at AT&T.
Jesse, you were talking about Odrisamer Despaigne making his first major league start at this park, and I actually talked to him about it yesterday. I said, what do you remember about that game? And he goes, not very much at all. It was a complete blur. I was so locked in that the next day when he walked out here at AT&T Park, he looked around and goes, oh, this is a pretty nice ballpark. Was it like that for you, Mark, during your first?
No, you know what? I was taken aback, Chris, and thank you very much for that report, by the big stadium and stuff like that.
Ooh, Oglesong trying to bunt. I think it's a fair ball, and Cashner is going to throw him out at first base. So a successful sacrifice by the San Francisco pitcher, now 2 away as Duffy goes to second.
This ball really goes up, and watch the fingers of Oglesong here. He's pinching the bat. That's what you want to do. Oh, he's lucky that ball doesn't come up and hit him in the hand. That's a good way to break a finger. On contact, just above the label. Vogelsong tries to get out of the way, and they get the out at first base.
Knocked himself down. Duffy in scoring position for the leadoff man Aoki, who's 0 for 2 tonight. Been a week's worth of hits. All 1.
Yeah, getting back to Chris's report on Odrisamer, I got caught up in all the, I was 20 years old at the time. What, Odrisamer, 27, right? Been around the block a few more times, pitching professionally in Cuba.
He was locked in that night, that's for sure. Called strike. 1-1.
I couldn't spit my major league debut. I was so nervous. Couldn't feel my legs. I was so nervous. And then after the 4th run scored, I settled in. Things weren't so bad.
Cashner battling Nori Aoki. How about what we heard before the game about his at-bats? Going back to Japan, as he fouls this one back. 2-2. What was it? Every single at bat goes back on live TV to Japan. They just cut in to show his plate appearances.
Where the TV trucks are here at AT&T Park, beyond the left field stands, there are a few trucks that pipe in each at bat when Aoki's at the plate, just for his at bat, as you mentioned, Jesse.
2-2, swung on and missed, and Andrew Cashner strikes him out. Second strikeout of the night for Cash. He is through 4, and the Giants have a 5-0 lead. Mike, Mark, thank you very much. You take a look at those National League West standings. Padres 3 games in back of the Dodgers, half game in front of these Giants, with a series at Arizona beginning on Thursday. 4 games into the shift for the second time tonight off the bat of Will Venable. Crawford throws him out. And a quick out for Ryan Vogelsong here in the 5th inning. Mark, he has yet to throw more than 14 pitches in a single frame.
Padre hitters are being aggressive early in the count. That was evident the first go around, the first inning, the second inning. Trying to hunt that fastball, and there is the breakdown.
So if the book on a guy is to swing early in the count and you're not having success, do you keep trying? Do you change your approach as the game goes on to try and work the pitch count up? What do you do?
I think the second time around you might see, if there's a big pitch like that out of the zone, you're not going to swing in it. But as a pitcher, I'm going to just try to keep on hitting my spots, keep the ball away, especially in a situation like this. Nothing middle in, give them the other opposite field.
Mentioned a little bit earlier about Vogelsong's story as Middlebrooks hits this one to Maxwell, and in right field he makes the catch, 2 away. It's been told, but in case you haven't heard it again, made his major league debut with the Giants in 2000, went to Pittsburgh in the Jason Schmidt trade at the deadline in 2001, stayed in Pittsburgh through 2006, and then 3 years in Japan before he got himself back to the major leagues. And his first year back, 2011, an All-Star with the Giants. Still going, 37 years old. Gets a call there, 0-1 to Alexi Amaristo, who struck out looking his first time up. Strike 2.
Tell you what, if you're going to get a fastball off the plate like that, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to want to toe the slab tonight and make pitches, right?
Rob Drake calling the balls and strikes. The 0-2 to Amarista is up high. Vogelsong allowed 4 home runs in his last start, and he knocked Amarista down with a high and tight fastball. 2-2.
Hey, we got that same pitch. See how close it actually was. Yeah,
it's in.
Yeah. Once again, turning away, but turning away after the fact. It's tough to beat that baseball coming in at 90 miles an hour.
2-2 to Alexi, and he swings and misses. Strike 3. Second strikeout of the night for Vogelsong, who is cruising with another quick inning. An RBI single in the second inning brought home Brandon Belt. That gave the Giants a 1-0 lead. The next batter, Matt Duffy, a fielder's choice to drive in the second run, just beating out what would have been an inning-ending double play. Then in the third, Brandon Crawford, an RBI single. And this is the tough one. Yangervis Solarte charged with an error there, as 2 more runs came in the third. A couple of unearned runs against Andrew Kashner, as the Padres trail the Giants 5-0 here in the bottom half of inning number 5. Joe Panik takes outside, ball 1, as you take a look at everything that's taken place so far here tonight.
Yeah, you look at the Andrew Kashner line, 4 innings pitch, and I look at the line in my book, only 1 extra base hit, a couple of walks, but the errors playing huge.
That's been a theme, as this one's hit well out to right. Kemp's looking up, and it's gone. Joe Panik hit one up there on Sunday against the Angels. That's his second of the season.
Well, the right count, the right pitch. Joe Panik can turn on one, as you mentioned there, Jesse. It was a 1-0 pitch from Andrew Kashner. He wants it down and away. He wants a backdoor slider. That slider ends up the middle of the plate. It speeds up the bat of Joe Panik, and he hits it into Levi's landing.
Just the 3rd home run of his big league career.
Just missed with the location with the slider. Doesn't mean you can't throw him a slider. He wanted to backdoor it, and it just left it over the heart of the plate. And the slower the pitch, it speeds up that bat, gets it out in front, and he elevates it out of the yard.
Boy, how about Joe Panik?
Yeah.
Came on for them in a big way last year when they had all kinds of question marks at second base. As Posey grounds this one over to Spangenberg at second base, 1 away.
Hey, good number 2 hitter, Joe Panik, isn't he? Had a good idea up there. You know, talking to Bruce Bochy about him last year, he said, you know what, the guy's not a superstar, but he just does everything right. Plays a solid second base, gives you a good at-bat.
Brandon Belt, as you saw, has been in the middle of it tonight. Fouls that fastball back from Cashner. Doubled in the second, walked in the third. 1-1.
Part of the mental game as a pitcher, right? You have to be tough. Can't think about what's happening. It's so hard in any walk of life, really.
1-2 to Belt is just inside. Cashner doesn't get the call. 2-2. Hasn't been a friendly confine to Andrew Cashner, AT&T Park. 7 games here, 3 starts coming into tonight. A 6.5 ERA. That one's fouled back. Still 2-2. Giants got 2 in the second, 3 in the third, a couple of which were unearned, and Panic with a homer here in the 5th. Fastball high, 3-2. Ball 4. Second time tonight, Brandon Belt has walked against Andrew Cashner.
Hey, Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with AYSO, the world's largest soccer club. Go to ayso.org/play to find your region and sign up for your fall team today. It'll be here before you know it. Andrew just doesn't seem to have the location of the fastball tonight, right? Good velocity.
Yeah, we've seen him hump it up there. 94, 95, 96.
Counters with a changeup right there. Sometimes pitchers will do that if you're missing with a certain pitch to get you a little bit more extended, work down to the zone.
Nice bounce back so far tonight for Vogelsong after his last start. Cashner struck out 10 on Wednesday against the Astros. Took the loss.
Here's what I look like. Here's what I look at in a game like this when a pitcher like Andrew Cashner, you look up the board, 6-0, 6 hits, 2 runs, whatever, errors behind him and stuff like that. I look at a pitcher's body language and how he reacts. How many times have we seen pitchers where they're in this situation as you look at, and they're just kind of moping around the mound, shrugging their shoulders, right?
Crawford hits it left side. Amarista with a nice stop. He's not going to have a play, but he does keep Belt at second base. Second hit of the night for Crawford. Giants have runners on first and second with just 1 out. 7th hit of the night for San Francisco.
You know, and when things are going this way, and then you make a good pitch, just out of the reach of Middlebrooks, and Amarista dives. Now, even if he finds the handle cleanly, probably not going to make the play. You know, sometimes that little baseball finds the hole. Crawford prolongs the inning.
First and second, 1 out. Blanco 0 for 2. Strikeout, and he hit that ball that got past Solarte. An error on the Padre first baseman that brought 2 runs home in the third. Cashner again, first pitch off speed. I was talking to one of the Padre pitchers about that in spring training. We talk about pitch sequence and why you might go with a certain pitch in a certain moment. Another changeup misses, and sometimes you're saying it's as simple as I find myself able to better locate. I'm making this one up. For example, as you see Kevin Quackenbush go down to the bullpen, if I'm having trouble locating my fastball, I like to throw a changeup, and that helps me from an arm slot or whatever.
An extension standpoint, you're absolutely right, because essentially, what do you want to do with the breaking ball? You want to keep it down, right? If you're always up with the fastball, up and in, up and away.
That one grounded to the right side. Solarte will go to second, and that's all they'll get as Amarista holds on to it. Second out of the inning. Runners on the corners.
That could have been a dangerous play. If that ball isn't thrown perfectly to second base, you know, you throw up the backside of Crawford, that ball caroms off into the outfield. Everybody's off and running again.
You often talk about a guy getting the sure thing.
Yes.
You know, at first base, maybe in a situation like that, but a nice throw by Solarte. Runners on the corners, 2 outs for Justin Maxwell. Giants have had their base runners tonight against Andrew Cashner. Grounds it to shortstop. Amarista takes it himself, and that's the 3rd out of the inning. Here in the 5th, Padres going to try and come from behind. Score, and they're shutting out the Padres, and it's time now to update our DraftKings players to watch in Padres Live, the pregame show. Mike and Mark gave you some guys to keep an eye on in this game. Alexi Amarista and Buster Posey. Hey, we're not done yet, though. Still some time for some action.
Absolutely. Alexi Amarista trying to put the ball in play here. 2 strikeouts, not going to get it done. Buster Posey always in the middle of something. Hey, Garrett Richards, man. When he's on his game, he's fun to watch.
Yeah. Andrew Cashner will lead it off against Ryan Vogelsong here in the 6th. Cash hit the ball really well his first time up, but pretty much right at the left fielder Aoki. 2 for 11 on the season. And he takes that breaker for a strike. 0-2.
How about the high breaking ball being called for a strike tonight by Rob Drake?
Good pitch.
Pitch number 2.
That one misses. 1 ball and 2 strikes to the Padre pitcher. Vogelsong against the Dodgers on Wednesday. 6 runs in just 3 innings. Tonight, 5 shutout frames against San Diego. It's Cashner swinging. 3rd strikeout of the night for Vogelsong. 1 away. He's been efficient.
Yeah, this game will bring you to your knees, won't it? It'll drive you nuts. When you take a look, that's why you got to play the games, right? That's the old cliche. That's why you play the games, Jesse, right? When you look at the numbers we talked about prior to this game. ERAs from these pitchers. Vogelsong with a 9.3. Andrew Cashner with a 2.6.
Strike 1 to Corey Spangenberg. Funny game, this baseball. Spangenberg 0 for 2, ground out and a fly out, and he takes that pitch high, 1-1. And how about the Giants pitching? Wow. Their last 7 games here at AT&T.
That's combined, and we talked about their bullpen last night. Bruce Bochy has a great bullpen down there. Veteran guys as Dave Righetti looks on.
Spangenberg drops that one into right field. Maxwell's got to play it on a hop. 1 out base runner for the Padres here in the 6th. First hit of the night for Corey Spangenberg, getting the start and leading off tonight.
See if Corey gets on top of this one. No, he goes down about belt buckle high. That's the mistake you like to see crushed.
On Hervis Solarte, 1 for 2 with a single. Grounded out to second base his other time up. '18th start of the season as they look Spangenberg back to first. Corey's got the speed. Buddy Black said before the game tonight he'd love to see him get on base and harass the pitcher. A 6-0 game. Hard to say if that's going to be in play here.
Also in a game like this offensively, as a hitter, you really can't try to do too much, right? You're down by 6, right? You can't hit a 5-run home run, right? It's not going to happen.
Not mathematically possible.
So you got a walk here, a hit here. This team has the potential with the 2-run shot, the home run.
Solarte takes off speed and outside, 2-0.
Going to be a challenge? Oh yeah, you betcha.
If there's one thing we've learned and that we know about this Padre team through the first month or so of the season, they can score some runs. And whether they decide to chip away, have a big inning, whatever it is, they are capable. And now 3-0 to Solarte as Vogel's song rubs up the baseball. That's what's coming up next.
Padres #1 in the National League in runs scored. #1 in hits.
Solarte takes all the way, ball 4. So now runners on first and second, 1 out. Matt Kemp coming to the plate. Tonight's game is presented in HD by Sony 4K.
And this is where the big boys got to come up and do some bopping. Multiple base runners, Kemp, Upton, Norris.
Solarte's been on twice, and this is the moment.
And you know what? In a perfect world, 1 swing of the bat, you cut the lead in half. Might see some action down in that giant bullpen.
Runners take their lead. First pitch to Kemp, big swing, and he fouls it back. Another guy that can do some damage waiting on deck.
George Cantos, the right-hander, trotting down the Giants bullpen.
Kemp 0 for 2. It's that one foul down the right field line. No balls, 2 strikes. Kemp was in the middle of it a few times as far as run scoring goes over the weekend against Colorado. One of the big pieces acquired by A.J. Preller this offseason, and you got to figure situations like this. Some of what they had in mind. The 0-2. Outside, ball 1. Little flinch from the home plate umpire Rob Drake.
But I'll tell you what, if he was going to call that a strike.
Vogelsong went off speed on 0-2. Now the 1-2 to Kemp. Just gets a piece of it.
Same type pitch down and off the plate there.
Last night the Padres had opportunities. 7th inning, 1st and 2nd, nobody out after Upton and Solarte singled. 3 straight outs after that.
He's not going to throw him a fastball for a strike here. If he throws him a fastball over the plate here, it's going to be a mistake.
And he spoils another one.
A slider, breaking ball. Everything's been away. Soft stuff away to Matt Kemp. You see the breakdown to the 71 total. 16 here in the 6th. Well, in the 5th, only 9.
Had a couple of really quick innings, and
Buster's thinking about it. Fastball, changeup, curveball, fastball.
First time
fastball in.
It is, and Kemp hits it to left. Aoki going back. He is at the wall. He leaps and he makes the catch. Spangenberg retreats to second. Solarte hustles back to first. Matt Kemp just missing it to left.
Got in on him just enough. Buster Posey inside for the fastball. Look at Matt Kemp. He does the best he can to try to get those hands in. Does it really have that sound? No, it doesn't, right? Sends him back to the track, leaping for the catch. Well, even though he didn't hit that on the sweet spot, he sent that one a long way. But Vogelsong did exactly what he wanted to do. Fastball in, and he got it in there.
First time all night the Padres have had 2 men aboard in the same inning. And the first time, of course, that Vogelsong will face a 5th batter in an inning. And it's this guy, Justin Upton. Singled and stole a base in the 4th. Lined out to right field in the 1st. 7 home runs to lead the team. 21 RBIs to lead the team. And he takes the first pitch outside. Ball 1. This is who you wanted up if you're the Padres in this situation. After Cashner struck out to open the inning, Spangenberg and Solarte set the table for Kemp and Upton. Matt just missed one. And now Justin. 1-1.
You know, with the infield swung around to pull a little bit, if I'm Ryan Vogelsong, I'm possibly, maybe, just even if it's a look, just a fake, maybe like a pickoff attempt at second base. Just you don't have to throw, just to give that runner an idea that you're out there. You know, because the focus here, everybody's, you know, Upton, right? Upton, Vogelsong, Upton. Sometimes you forget about that runner at second base. With the 6-run lead, highly unlikely, but still.
Spangenberg and Solarte, the base runners.
Possible change up here. Oh.
Well, it's fun watching Upton. You know, when he steps out here, you can almost see him going through the scouting reports and all his video watching and everything he's read and seen on Vogelsong, kind of processing.
Fastball in. Fastball
Misses.
away.
3-1. Derek Norris on deck. Should Upton reach?
Outfield playing to go the other way just slightly in center field.
The 3-1. Outside, ball 4.
Little cutter.
Second walk of the inning from Vogelsong. Bases loaded. And a visit from the old pitching coach.
Tried to keep the ball away there, just missed with the cutter. And the big ragu, Dave Righetti, the pitching coach. Probably 2 of the better pitching coaches in all of Major League Baseball in the house tonight, with Darren Balsley and Dave Righetti. And the potential for damage does not stop with Justin Upton. As the bases right now blowing a .08.
They're loaded.
Hey, one mistake, Jesse. That's all it takes, right?
You astutely pointed out earlier you cannot hit a 5-run home run. You can, though, hit a 4-run home run. They call it a grand slam.
Yes.
And Derek Norris so good with runners in scoring position so far this season.
But hey, that would be great. But a single here also would work.
First pitch breaking ball called strike. 0-1.
Starts him out soft right there with the bases loaded.
Spangenberg at third, Solarte at second, Upton at first.
You know what? He's gotten away with a lot of those first pitch hanging breaking balls that the Padre hitters have taken.
One and one.
You've heard of pitching backwards, right?
Sure. Start him off with the breaking ball.
Yeah. Hitters count, go soft on him, throw the breaking ball like 2-0, 2-1. You throw a breaking ball. Rather than a fastball count, throwing the fastball.
The hardest Vogelsong has had to work in any inning so far tonight. Before this one was in the third when he threw 14 pitches. This is the 25th of the 6th inning. And it's hit on the ground to third base. Duffy goes the short way, and the side is retired. The Padres load the bases here in the 6th against Ryan Vogelsong, but they cannot strike. Mike Pomeranz, Mark Sweeney, thank you very much. Andrew Kashner dealing to Matt Duffy, who fouls that one down the right field line. No balls and 2 strikes to the San Francisco third baseman. You just heard the news on Steven Strasburg, so you got to wonder if he's going to be available for that 4-game series when the Padres return to Petco Park about 9 days from now. Long road trip here, longest of the season so far for the Padres. Arizona and Seattle still to come. 2 hit foul right side out of play. Talking about the Nationals, who are not doing what people expected them to do.
Yeah, remember they were printing playoff tickets, right? They're making all those acquisitions and adding to their ball club. On paper, right? The old phrase, on paper.
Strike 3 called as Andrew Kashner collects his 3rd strikeout of the night. Yeah, the Marlins, everybody was ready to bury them after a week, and they're right in the middle of it now.
Breaking ball outside corner. Nice frame job by Derek Norris.
Ryan Vogelsong will hit for himself. Pitched out of a bases loaded jam in the top of this inning. The bunt was his last at bat. He grounded out to Cashner in the second. 1-1. Giants got 2 runs in the second, 3 in the third, and added 1 in the fifth on the panic homer. A couple of unearned runs once again against Andrew Cashner, but of course it's not just about errors and defensive miscues. Put guys on base. And he's continuing to battle it here. 1-2, and Vogelsong hits it pretty well, but over towards Amarista and shortstop. That's the second out of the inning.
We talk about Andrew Cashner early in the game. Look at where the glove is right here. Now watch, keep an eye on that glove. He wants to hit the spot right. Well, this one is down. It's over the heart of the plate, and the left-hander just drops the head of the bat. Now let's see the location right there of Derek Norris's glove. Watch again. Does he go down and away? It's up just a little bit, but you know what? It's just a fine line. Once again, it's a fine line in this game of baseball. And that one particularly getting up on top of it. Derek Norris's glove. Middle of the plate. And at this level, a lot of big league hitters, they're going to hit those mistakes.
Cashner gets the first 2 here in the sixth as Aoki takes strike 1.
Hey, nice first pitch changeup right there.
Seen a decent amount of that tonight.
He's got a good one.
Aoki lifts that in the air left field. Easy for Justin Upton, and a really nice 1-2-3 inning for Andrew Cashner here in the sixth. Casino, only 30 minutes from Petco Park. And by Jack in the Box. Head to Jack in the Box for Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich. Beautiful night in San Francisco. Temperature, I'm going to say upper 50s, high 50s.
Yep.
And Ryan Vogelsong. Best outing of the season for the San Francisco starter, Andrew Cashner, has allowed 6 runs. Will Venable to be followed by Will Middlebrooks and Alexi Amarista. Four of the 6 runs earned. Venable is grounded into the shift twice to the shortstop Crawford, who they've got playing over on the right side of second base as you look out over in the diamond. It's amazing that something that really even 4 years ago was almost an afterthought has become such a big part of the game.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Good use of data.
Yeah, if you don't see the shift right now, it's kind of like, what are they doing? Right?
Yeah. See Crawford, and that's where he's hit it, pretty much right to him. Each of his first 2 times up. That one's right down the middle. Strike 3 called.
Guessing for something else, it looks like right there. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the San Diego Padres. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
Will Middlebrooks, 1 out, nobody aboard. Takes ball 1. 0 for 2 tonight. Popped up to first. Flew out to right his last time up. Cinco de Mayo in San Francisco. Strike 1. You can almost see the confidence growing for Vogelsong over the course of the night.
Absolutely. Doesn't seem to be overthrowing his pitches. He's hitting his corners. Sure, granted, he's thrown some mistakes. The Padres just haven't been able to square things up. Just keeping him off balance just a little bit, right?
Kevin Quackenbush continuing to throw in the San Diego bullpen. Not unlike Bumgarner last night, and I know he took a no-hitter into the 7th inning, but the Padres had base runners. They had some chances. As Middlebrooks lifts this one to center. Blanco makes the catch, 2nd out here in the top of the 7th. They're just kind of off kilter, off balance both nights. Alexi Amarista, 2 outs, nobody on. Vogelsong looking to finish the 7th inning for the first time this season. Gets Amarista chasing 1-0.
Willie Blair on the right, bullpen coach, going over the hitters for Kevin Quackenbush.
Panik, Posey, and Bell due up in the bottom of this inning as Jed Jerko has come out into the on-deck circle. Amarista 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. Ball 1.
Well, absent tonight from the Padres offense is the extra base hit, right? 3 hits tonight, all singles.
1-2. Giants come into tonight 500 for the first time since they were 3-3. They've won 4 in a row, 7 straight at home after beginning the season 0-5 here at AT&T Park. Another sellout, by the way. 1-2 to Amarista, fouled back. It's Jeremy Affeldt. Heads out to the bullpen for San Francisco down the left field line.
He's got to drop the old number 2 right here on him, doesn't he?
Fastball, and Amarista goes the other way. Aoki was playing over towards the line, and he makes the catch. Another 1-2-3 inning for Ryan Vogelsong. 7 shutout innings for the 37-year-old right-hander. Nori Aoki was shifted towards the line. He slides in, makes the catch. Stretch time in San Fran. Vogelsong as he gets some handshakes and a hug from his catcher, Buster Posey. 7 shutout innings for the veteran as the Padres make a move on the hill. The El Cajon Ford pitching change. Kevin Quackenbush in for the 6th time.
Well, I'm sorry, Jesse, with the 6-run lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th, Kevin Quackenbush got to hold these Giants. And the time that he has been back, Kevin has done a fine job out of the bullpen. This being his 6th game. The ERA a little bit high, over 3, but he's a strike thrower. He challenges these hitters. Always working from the stretch.
Last saw Quackenbush on Sunday against the Rockies. Struck out 2 in an inning of work. He pitched the 7th inning in the 8-6 Padre victory. And he delivers a first pitch strike to Joe Panik, 0-1. Panik homered his last time up. That was leading off the 5th inning. Pulled one up into that Levi's landing in right field. 0-2.
Just keep the ball away from Joe Panik. Nothing off speed for a strike. Seemed like that pitch that he hit out of the ballpark was a slider that just leaked over the heart of the plate, speeding up his bat, enabling him to hit it deep to right field.
17 postseason games for Panik last year. A homer and 8 RBIs. This was leading off the 5th inning. Cashner lifts one up, and Panik, for the 2nd time in 3 days, goes up over the right field wall here at AT&T Park. St. John's got it. It's this one in the air, center field. Venable calls for it. Makes the catch. 1 gone here in the 7th for Quackenbush. Final game of this series coming up tomorrow. Day game as Ian Kennedy goes to the hill against Chris Heston. Join us at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Nice and early.
Yeah, have a nice little lunch before, or a little brunch, right? Or you can sit down and have some eats and enjoy a big league ball game from San Francisco.
Buster Posey takes ball 1 from Quackenbush. Yeah, maybe you sit down at the desk as you see Odrisamer Despaigne.
Hey, take the day off.
Okay.
Don't even go to the desk.
Take the day off. Will you give a note? Make a sandwich? Put the game on? 2-0 to Posey. Giants swept the Angels over the weekend. Took game 1 of this series last night behind Bumgarner. And they got the big lead here in game 2.
Well, that ball gets up on these hitters from Kevin Quackenbush quickly. He's only throwing 90-91, but very quick with that arm out of the glove and then up over that cap of his from a vantage point of the hitter. That's why you don't see him really square up a lot of pitches.
Strike 2.
He's been calling it all night, huh? That pitch? Off the plate.
To Posey. Found it down. These teams met up in the opening series at Petco Park at the beginning of April. Padres took 3 straight from the Giants after dropping the first game of the series 1-0 in 12 innings. They will see each other plenty over the course of this season. Just missing. And now full count 3-2 to the San Francisco catcher Buster Posey. Another trip back here in June for the Padres. San Francisco head south to San Diego for the next time on July 20th. Posey hits that one well down the line and left. If it's fair, it's gone. And it's a foul ball.
Strike 2. Out in front of the fastball just a little bit. That may have been a changeup. What do you think? Tough to tell. because of the swing. It was in. Out in front of it just enough to send it foul.
Checks his swing, and that's ball 4.
Follow the Padres all season in 2015 with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment, at any moment, with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, statcast, and much, much more. How you doing? Get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Hey, the Empress
of Sausalito.
Yeah.
Right over the Golden Gate Bridge.
Sausalito Summer Nights. Diesel.
Ball outside to Brandon Belt, who's had a very productive night for the Giants. A couple of walks, double. Popcorn?
I think so.
In the takeout container. Just low. 2 balls, no strikes. He is happy.
Yeah.
Two and 1. Fun to watch Kevin Quackenbush last year. After he rode that shuttle back and forth a bunch early on in the season.
What was it, 5 times total?
Yeah, in 22 days. That one's hit to left field. Upton coming over makes the catch. 2 away. Yeah, you saw him just get better and better and better over the course of the season, and eventually he's in a role where, you know, he's setting up and he's finishing off some games when Benoit went down at the end of the year.
And you know what? The best thing about that for Kevin Quackenbush, he realized his role. He realized what was going on. You never heard a word complain anytime at all. That doesn't do well for the mind. Up and down 5 times.
Can't be an easy thing to deal with. Brandon Crawford takes a fastball outside. So the 2 singles. He's also walked, scored a couple of runs, knocked one in. No Angel Pagan in the middle of the San Francisco lineup after he was spiked last night on that middle finger. As you take a look at the Cholula flamethrower.
90 miles an hour from Kevin Quackenbush, and that's hot sauce.
Giants, though, still getting production without Pagan in the order. Crawford lines that one to right field. It's a fair ball. Posey's off and running as Kemp retrieves it. They will hold Buster Posey at third. It's a 2-out double for Brandon Crawford, and he's on base for the 4th time tonight.
Well, he was all over that fastball. And once again, missing with location. Remember earlier we showed you some pitches missing? Crawford drops the head of that bat. He wanted it down and away. Middle. With a 2-out double.
Second and third, 2 away. Gregor Blanco is 0 for 3 tonight.
Giants hitting some mistakes tonight as well, huh?
Good teams will do that. Quackenbush got a fly ball from Panik to start the inning. He walked Posey as he bounces that one in there. Then got Belt to fly out. Now the double from Crawford. Second and third, 2 away. Andrew Kastner pitched the first 6 innings tonight, allowed 6 runs, 4 of which were earned on 7 hits. 3 walks and 3 strikeouts for Cash. Padres now with 170 strikeouts this season out of their starting rotation. By far the most in baseball. Bullpen trying to stay warm down at the end of the bench. 1-2. Padres used just 2 pitchers last night, Ross and Vincent.
Yeah. Just going to mention that.
One-two to Blanco, and it's inside with a fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Blanco making his 14th start of the season as last night's starter Tyson Ross sits with tonight's Andrew Cashner. Blanco's got most of the playing time in right field with Hunter Pence out, and he's out. Takes strike 3 from Kevin Quackenbush, who strands a couple. We're through 7 in San Francisco. Mike and Mark, thanks a lot. Appreciate a new pitcher for San Francisco. George Cantos has been very, very good as he comes on for the 12th time this season in relief of Ryan Vogelsong, who spun 7 shutout innings tonight, allowed just 3 hits.
Really nice numbers. Nice splits also. Lefties 176, righties 205. He's kept the ball in the yard. 4-pitch pitcher, George Cantos.
Pinch hitter Jed Jerko leads off and takes strike 1.
He'll flip up the fastball, the cutter, the slider, and the changeup. 92-93 on that fastball.
Jerko hit a pinch hit home run the other day, first pinch hit homer of his career. And he takes outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Some numbers on the season for Jerko, including that dinger. Giants looking for a 5th consecutive win, and if they get it, it'll be once again on the heels of their starting pitching. In the last 5 games, Giants starters have a 0.98 ERA.
It's contagious. I feel pitching is contagious as hitting is. You hear it all the time from players, coaches.
Jerko up the middle. That's going to be a base hit. So Jed Jerko comes off the bench and collects a leadoff single here in the 8th.
Staying on that pitch nicely and taking this right back where it came from. That's a slider. He stays on it nicely. Doesn't pull off at all. Usually sometimes the front shoulder and the hip open up too early. Opened up just a little bit, but got good extension right there. Love the ground ball to the center fielder.
Mentioned opponents hitting under 200 against Cantos so far this year. Jerko welcomes him, though, with a base hit up the middle, and Corey Spangenberg 1 for 3 tonight. That was the 4th hit of the evening for the Padres as Spangenberg takes a fastball strike. 0-1. Padres' best chance to do something in this game came in the 6th inning, really the only inning in which Vogelsong was taxed. Had a couple men on with 1 out, bases loaded, 2 outs, and unable to push a run across as Spangenberg gets a high chopper on the infield. Crawford has to hurry, and he makes the play. Jerko goes to second base, but of course the Giants will gladly take the out with a 6-run lead here in the 8th.
You know, we talk about first steps from the infielders. We talk about ranging from the right and left. But how about coming in on a baseball and getting a speedy hitter? Watch Crawford playing a double play depth, but watch the transfer on the hop. Momentum towards first, glove, bare hand, bang. It's pretty good at that.
Yeah, getting the ball from the glove to the hand was really quick, and as you said, with Spangenberg running, not a lot of time. Seen him make some good defensive plays over the years. Jerko at second, 1 away. Here's Solarte. He's been on base a couple of times tonight. Jan Harris starting at first base as Yonder Alonso continues to work his way back from that hit by pitch against the Rockies. Singled in the 1st, and he walked his last time up. Getting all over the place. First base, third base, second base. The 0-1 misses. 1 ball and 1 strike. Cantos has worked more innings than all but 1 National League reliever. But he's been good. Foul back, 1-2.
They got a nice mix down in that bullpen, don't they, for the Giants? 2 lefties, veteran lefties. Affelt, Lopez, Casilla the closer. Romer once a closer, now the setup. Petit, who's a swing man, he can start, relieve. Machi, and that kid, George Cantos.
Nice group. Really nice group.
Fastball in. Oh, maybe away.
A little bit too far away. Cantos wanted the call. 2-2.
I know he's been calling the ball off the plate a little bit, but that was a little bit. That was too far off the plate. Number 4. Fox Tracks brought to you by Nissan.
Jerko leads off second. 2-2 coming to Solarte. Outside again. Ball 3. Matt Kemp. And if it's still going, Justin Upton after that. To Solarte, and he reaches for it, fouls it away. Spoiled a tough pitch there.
Looked like he went breaking ball on that pitch.
As you pointed out, the strikes have been called, maybe a little bit on that outside corner or beyond, and Solarte not taking any chances.
Fastball up and in, maybe.
Slider. And strike 3.
College Night presented by Uber is back in the month of May. Live DJ, food and drink specials, and Padres baseball. Does it get any better? Tickets for students are $10 in advance or $12 the day of the game. Get tickets and full schedule at Padres.com/college.
It's a good deal.
Yeah. Get your frat buddies and come on out to the ball yard and yuck it up and have a good time.
Matt Kemp with 2 outs and a runner on second. Padres looking for their first run of the series.
Boy, you just saying that, Jesse, really kind of frustrating, huh? First run of the series.
Bumgarner last night, Vogelsong tonight.
Yeah.
Kemp hit the ball really well his last time up. Chased Aoki back to the wall, and he made the catch. Matt's 0 for 3 tonight.
Mentioned it earlier, though. First in hits for the Padres, first in runs, second total bases, and still looking for the first run of the series.
Padres have struggled with runners in scoring position against the Giants the last 2 nights, despite the fact that they came into this series with the best numbers in the National League with men on and in those positions. Oh for 8 last night with runners in scoring position, and 0 for 4 so far this evening. Contos checks on Jerko and delivers home. Kemp swings and misses, 1-2. Gigantes on Cinco de Mayo. To Kemp. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for George Contos to finish the 8th. Insurance. Log on to mercuryinsurance.com today and see how much you could save. By Petco, what we feed them matters. And by your San Diego Lexus dealer. Driving fast in San Francisco tonight.
Yeah, no speed limits. The Autobahn in San Francisco.
Nick Vincent pitched a scoreless 8th last night. Comes on again in the bottom half of inning number 8.
It's a good way for Nick to really find that groove. Back-to-back nights. Last night, as you mentioned, Jesse, 1 hit, 1 strikeout for Nick. He faced Posey, Belt, and Maxwell. Well, Maxwell will lead it off here in the bottom of the 8th.
And then Duffy and a pinch hitter for the pitcher Contos. 6-0 Giants in the bottom of the 8th. And now 0-2 from Nick Vincent to Justin Maxwell. Yusmeiro Petit. They'll use him a lot of ways, huh?
Yeah, very versatile. It's one of those games where manager Bruce Bochy can just sit back and let his guys do their thing. Not a safe situation, so Petit get an inning.
Maxwell swings and misses, strike 3.
Yeah, good for Nick, getting a good quick out right there and staying on top of that cutter and getting some good action for the strikeout. Early in the season, he was kind of working around it a little bit. And it was getting a little bit too big, and it looks like that one right there kind of straightens out a little bit with the 4-seam fastball.
Matt Duffy, RBI fielder's choice in the 2nd, a single in the 4th. He struck out looking in the 6th. And he swings at the first pitch from Vincent, fouls it back, 0-1. A little bit below the knees, 1 ball and 1 strike. Six runs on 8 hits and no errors for San Francisco. Padres no runs, 4 hits and 2 errors, one of which cost Andrew Kashner a couple of unearned runs back in the 3rd inning. The 1-2 from Vincent is lifted into center field for a base hit. Matt Duffy collects his 2nd hit of the night. And Mark will take a look back at our keys to the game, which are brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Well, remember last night the Giants had 4 miscues, and the Padres really didn't capitalize on it. So we wanted to see the Padres take advantage of those Giant mistakes. Well, no errors tonight for San Francisco, and get on for Kemp and Upton. Well, setting the table, number 1 and 2, Corey Spangenberg and Solarte, 2 for 7 with a walk and a couple singles. No extra base hits tonight for San Diego.
They've been held in check by a Giants pitching staff that is at the top of its game right now. Switch hitting catcher Hector Sanchez pinch hitting, and he takes ball 1. Sanchez not playing much these days. I don't think he started in a game about 2 weeks. Giants presently carrying 3 catchers, probably not a long-term thing for them. Posey and of course Susak lines that one off the glove of Spangenberg, who was shifted over, and it goes into right field. Duffy hustles up to second base, and a liner right at Spangenberg will be considered a base hit, and now 1st and 2nd, 1 out.
Let's take a look. Spangenberg to his right. I'm guessing, Corey, you think, I think he's thinking to himself, you know, I should have had that.
Probably the last chance for Nori Aoki to extend his 7-game hitting streak. He's 0 for 4 with a strikeout. 1st and 2nd, 1 away. Duffy on 2nd, Sanchez on 1st. And Vincent delivers strike 1. Just foul.
Is that a dog? On the right there?
Yeah.
It sure is. I thought it was a stuffed animal. If it is, it's a robotic one. It's not the dog days yet, is it?
Small dog, though. Snuck him in, maybe. 0-2. Up the middle, Vincent's got it. They go to second for one. Amarista steps on the bag, double play. Nicely done by Nick Vincent, starting the 1-6-3 double play. Last chance for the Padres coming up. Yusmeiro Petit enters the game for the 9th time this season. Struggled as of late.
There's some good stuff coming up after this one in Padres Live, the post-game show.
Justin Upton to be followed by Derek Norris and Will Venable, and Petit delivers strike one in a 6-0 game.
Here's your swing man, Yusmeiro Petit. He can start, he can relieve. Almost like a Adrisamir Despaigne, right?
Mm-hmm. Very similar kind of role. 30-year-old from Venezuela brings home an 0-1 pitch that Upton lays off.
And I'll tell you what, you stay healthy, you can have yourself a nice big league career. If the cat in the hat watches the game.
Don't really see the panda hats anymore, huh? 1-1 to Upton. Big swing and a miss. Upton has reached twice tonight. He lined out to right field in the first inning, singled and stole a base in the fourth, then he walked in the sixth. 1 for 2. And now the 1 and 2. Strike 3 call. Bill Howe, play of the game tonight, came back in the 6th inning. Derek Norris with the bases loaded and 2 outs. He grounds out. Big moment there for Ryan Vogelsong, who tossed 7 shutout innings and allowed just 3 hits tonight. Second consecutive outstanding start from a San Francisco pitcher against the Padres. Norris 0 for 3. And first pitch swinging, hammers that one to center field. Blanco going back and just shy of the warning track, makes the catch. Padres down to their final out. Padres Live, the post-game show is coming up. Mike Pomerantz, Mark Sweeney. But first, Will Venable.
And after Padres Live, be sure to stay tuned to that show with Odrismer Despagne and Yonder Alonso on SD Live. It's a good one.
Incredible family connection that goes back a generation. You can hear those guys discuss.
And you'll want to tune in to see what Odrismer Despagne is wearing.
You know, it's not one of his new outfits. Took place before the shopping spree here in San Francisco last couple of days.
So stay tuned.
1-1 to Venable. Getting the start in center field tonight. They went all out.
Yeah.
They just went for it. Fooled 1-2. Petit trying to finish off the Padres on Cinco de Mayo. The 1-2 to Venable, swung on and missed, strike 3. Second straight shutout win for San Francisco over the Padres, 6-0 on this Tuesday night. Mike Pomeranz coming up with Padres Live, the postgame show.